Hello everyone. So now I'm gonna talk about day 4 topic, and that is lavender. Lavender is one of those plants that I could talk forever. I actually did a medical research into medical journal, and it's just amazing what information but the information they have gathered from the research done with lavender. So let me just open, I have the medical journal here with me open, and then I have my own notes on lavender as well. Let me just open them for you. So again, I have divided it to magical and health use. And there is so many health usages that I was actually planning everything on my Trello board, and then I decided, well, actually there's so much information that I need to use Word file instead. So actually my Trello board now has only the health, and when I go to Word, I have all on the spiritual side of that. So when we start off with the lavender, it's a Lavandula officinale is the name for that. And folk names has funny names like elf leaf, nard, nardus, and spike. Gender for lavender is masculine, and planet is Mercury. That's interesting because Mercury is a planet of communications. You know them when they say this that there's a Mercury's retrograde, so all the communication is upside down. And it's connected to Mercury. And another thing what is important is that when you think of lavender, what is the color of the lavender? It's blue. Blue is the color of communication. So communication is the key word for lavender. What helps me to remember something is that I try to link it on my brain by the colors, or sometimes I use smell memory. Obviously, we all have that. We remember how it smelt in our granny's place and these kind of things. And you can tap into your spiritual side with that as well, especially if you want to contact the spirit world. And let's say you want to talk to your grandmother, and then you think of the smells and the feel, how it felt, how your grandmother hugged you. And lavender is actually one of these plants that we attach to our grandparents, because lavender has always used in pouches like this, and kept under the pillow, and it's great for the spirit work because it's a color of and properties of the communication. So if you want to communicate, you need to implement the lavender to that. So let's continue with the elements. So element is air. Powers of the lavender is happiness, longevity, love, peace, protection, purification, and sleep. Often lots of plants have multiple protection is one of them. But when would you put, let's say if you would put rosemary next to lavender, and if you would compare those two, I would say that I would still use more rosemary for the protection side of the work, and let's say sleep is something that resonates with me when I think about lavender. And it depends how you organize this knowledge in your brain. If it makes sense in your heart, then then you know that you will use, let's say, on your spell work, the herb correctly. And love and peace is love, peace, and sleep are those that resonate with me. And it has a really rich history, lavender, regards to love spells especially, and friendships spells. And funny thing is that the scent of lavender is said to attract love and man. And it's interesting that they say that, because my partner loves the smell of lavender. I remember, he was asking like, oh, do you have lavender? I want to add it under my pillow. Or when his nose is blocked, he wants to usually use lavender. So he probably resonates with kind of that health side of the lavender. And how to use lavender. So lavender is used a lot in the oil form, but you can use that as mix it with moon water again. For burning lavender, it's not that I resonate with, to burn lavender. I would use it more in oils. It's important to get that lovely scent out of the lavender. So I think the oil is the best way to get the scent out of the lavender. So wearing lavender will attract love, but it also protects against cruel treatment at the hands of the spouse. So I think that's where the protection comes into play, and love and peace. So it's obviously a herb of communication. So if you have arguments with your spouse, I think lavender is a good ingredient in a spell of communication, and of the color of the blue as well. It's interesting that they do recommend it to burn, but I wouldn't necessarily use it for burning, and I don't want to necessarily burn it in the bedroom to induce sleep, but scattered around the house to bring peace. That's lovely, actually. And also you can just, when you clean, let's say, bathroom and toilet, you can just use also these drops of oil or just herbs to scatter them around and add that little lovely scent. And it's seen that lavender is also used to reverse depression. So it works like that you look at the lavender and kind of purify your vibe through the plant. So it comes back to this communication with the plant. So plants and herbs, they are around us and they are here to help us. But if we don't tap into their specific properties, then there's no use. But lavender is a very communicative plant, so to speak. So let me see. I have a spell list here as well where it's very good. Cleansing spells, attraction spells, love, healing and longevity spells, dream magic, divination. I think it would be very good on dream magic and divination. And remember that when we think about psychology and how our brain is tuned into certain kind of habits, let's say how, like in psychology, they have a way of, they teach how you can break a habit. So the same, how you can introduce a habit. So if you want to tap into certain kind of properties, put a lavender in the bag and smell it when you do something very specific. Let's say you do dream work, or you do if you clean a house and cleans the house and you scatter the lavender around. So it has to be linked to something specific. And the more you do it, your brain also takes up on that and starts to help on taking it forward. So as example, what could I give as example? Like when you smell nice food, it brings that kind of saliva in your mouth, and you feel that, oh, I already want that. That's how your brain, even if you don't even taste it yet, you kind of just, you already are expecting that. So same with introducing the herbs to our knowledge. So let's go now to the medical use of the lavender, and I'm going to talk about the medical article that I found. Just open it here. Right, it's a evidence-based complementary and alternative medicine journal, and it talks about lavender and the nervous system, which I find really interesting. That it mentions that lavender is traditionally alleged to have a variety of therapeutic and curative properties, ranging from inducing relaxation to treating parasitic infections, burns, insect bites, spasm. But there is a growing evidence suggesting that lavender oil may be an effective medicine in treatment of several neurological disorders. And several animal and human investigations suggest to use it as a mood stabilizer, as in a sedative use, and in neuroprotective properties. So yes, these studies raise the possibility of revival of lavender therapeutic efficiency in neurological disorders, which I find really interesting. And this research have been done in 2016, so it's quite recent as well. And let me see what else I pick up, something interesting. The academic article is a long one, so I just try to snap the most important ones. And it includes that the study includes that someone suggested that essential oils are the best way to get lavender properties absorbed through the skin. Okay, and it has been used since medieval times as drugs, part of perfumes, soaps. And it's actually considered also beneficial in treatment of pain. But I think that there is alternative therapy of that is called pain therapy as well. And I think that covers more of how pain, because it's kind of impulse that our brain gets. So you can, in some level of pain, you can reteach your brain through this kind of habitual use of attaching certain kind of things to a little bit like this Pavlov dog experiment. So, let's say if you do something as a habit and then you constantly repeat that habit, then it becomes your daily habit, and then you kind of induce that idea to your brain. Okay, so this was I came across with effects to lavender. It's also seen that there has been an investigation to the effects of the anxiety, aggressiveness, and actually with social interaction as well. And it does decrease aggressive behavior. So in the anger, I would use that herb to calm yourself down. So this was about this study on lavender, and they do mention also the anxiety, depression, and there has been actually, they checked it against placebo effect, and actually lavender is proved to be better than placebo. So people kind of thinking that they're using something compared to people who were actually using it. Right. And then there's a talk about sleep and treating insomnia, improve the sleep quality. And pain is mentioned again. And it seems to be useful, especially on acute type of pain, but also chronic and intractable pain. And it seems that especially it relaxes when you work it into the foot massage using lavender essential oils. Because they checked that, and it seems like 50% of people receiving foot massage used with lavender essential oil was actually effective in lowering blood pressure, heart rate, and pain. This is really great to hear this kind of new research and new medical research, that it's not based on belief or tradition. Right, so let me return to my Trello board where I have listed some more health uses. So lavender is antiseptic, anti-inflammatory, can heal minor burns and bug bites, and research suggests that it may be useful for treating anxiety and insomnia, depression, and restlessness. And researchers monitored their sleep cycles with brain scans and found that lavender increased slow-wave sleep, instrumental for slowing heartbeat and relaxing muscles. Then we come to that relaxing muscles, so it's obviously very good choice to use with your bath water as a bath soak. And subjects slept more soundly when using lavender at night. And lavender oil can be taken in a different way. It depends on the oil, if it's how clean the oil is. It can be used as on your face. There is actually research done on acne, and also to reduce wrinkles. And it works to kill off bacteria, unclogs pores, reduce inflammation, and if you dilute it on the coconut oil or another carrier oil and apply to your skin after washing your face, it's great on treating acne. And you can use it also as a facial toner, the oil. But if you don't want to leave that if you don't want to get that oily feel to that, then I would, you know, even mix it with a cream or serum or even water. Just hold it kind of hold it on the water for a while, and then just use cotton to wipe your clean your face off. I talked to one lady as well that who actually recommended to me when we covered. I said that my daughter has eczema, and she said that she's using chamomile on the bath water, and adds also lavender. And this is the research what I found as well, that eczema can, when your skin gets dry and itchy and scaly, because lavender has antifungal properties, it reduces the inflammation and can keep the eczema away. And if you are suffering because of psoriasis, then lavender oil is very good for that, because it cleanses your skin and removes the redness and irritation. Another tip that I found was that mix tea tree oil along with 2 teaspoons of coconut oil, and you can use it daily, and then add little bits of the lavender in it. And also it can make your skin a little bit lighter, because it reduces the inflammation and reduce the discoloration, including dark spots that we all get when we get a little bit older. So another medical information what I found is that when they were talking about free radicals, and that they are partly responsible for these fine wrinkles and kind of uneven that kind of skin. And because the lavender oil is full of antioxidants, and then that will help against free radicals. And they recommend to mix it with a coconut oil. Another thing that I came across was also sunburn, that lavender oil spray is really good. I actually personally use aloe vera, but they do recommend that use aloe vera juice, 2 tablespoons of distilled water, 10 to 12 drops of lavender oil and jojoba oil. And shake the bottle and spray into the sunburn. And use the spray 2 to 3 times a day until the sunburns heal. But I usually just use, it depends of the sunburn. Sometimes I use just pure aloe vera. Sometimes I use chamomile, and what else was I just in my mind? Sometimes I actually use sour cream. It's a very good actually to use. If you're really badly burnt, then sour cream is great. But you have to leave it there, and then it kind of softens it up. Because I have noticed that aloe vera is a little bit irritating, but sour cream is a little bit more soothing. So it depends how bad how badly you have burned in sun. All right, I think that I mentioned everything on those. But it's also good for the repel the mosquitoes and other bugs. And I think I listed the picture on the group as well, that you can have a look at that. And you can add that some drops on the candles. What I actually do when I do spell work, when I have a candle, let me just show here, then I use the oil. And depending of my kind of intention, that what I want to use. And recently I have done, when I have done healing spell, because I wanted to add that kind of loving energy, of protective, loving energy, that kind of motherly energy to the spell, then that's why I added. I wonder if you can still actually smell it there. I think you can. I use this this for my spell, and with a green candle, because that is kind of seen as a healing color, and add inviting health to people's lives. Right. Another good top is lavender oil. Also works very well with treating poison ivy. That was new information to me, so that's very good if you're in a rush, and obviously you need to probably go and meet the doctor, but to treat something quickly, you need to quickly think on your feet and come up with a solution. So treating poison ivy is a good tip. Yes, and it actually says that hippocampus in our brain is particularly affected by the scent of lavender. Well, I hope this was really helpful. As you see, there was so much information for me to cover about lavender today that I think more than compared to any of the plants. So I think lavender is definitely, if you don't have it yet, get it in the oil form, or just get it from the outside and use the oil that you have, and mix it with the herbs. But I would definitely keep it. I would mix it the dry lavender rather than anything that is too moist yet, because otherwise it starts to generate this kind of mold, and that's not very hygienic. So this was a video about lavender today, and we are now, this is for fourth day, and tomorrow we're gonna talk about rose and benefits of rose, magical benefits and health benefits. And I leave you with this information, and we're gonna meet at 2 p.m. live again, discussing about lavenders. And I want to know, because lavender has been used such a long time, I want to know, what have your parents and grandparents done with the lavender? How have they dried it? How long they have dried it? Any tips that you can share to other members would be really great. So thank you so much again joining me, and see you at live on Facebook group at 2 p.m.